So I got a brilliant idea. I'm going to have Will, big black Will down at the lake, come sit up here, introduce him, and say, this is Will. I wonder how much he can bench press. A lot, right? Okay. I'll say now, he's married to a white woman. You come call him a nigger to his face, and his wife is a nurse. She can fix the damages. Come on down. How would that work? Okay.
Hello there, Atheist Junior here, and I'm back with a new video for the new year. 2020 is finally over, but unfortunately we couldn't leave criminal scam artists like Kent Hovind and his brown-nosing little twerp friend Matt Powell in the previous year.
There is no logic at all into believing that one day God just decided to poof us into existence.
No logic at all into believing.
Wow, I mean, the last time I saw this many Hawaiian fruits in one place was when I ate some pineapple pizza at Cece's. I'm sorry, I had to. Carry on, Kent.
Believing that God decided to poof. Isn't that exactly what they believe?
No, it isn't. We're 5 seconds in and Kent Hovind is already not listening. He's so eager to just reply to every statement an atheist says by busting out the classic playground retort of, "Nuh-uh, that's you." I'm expecting some type of play on rubber and glue sticking to me and not you at some point. What he said was, there is no logic in believing that God poofed us all into existence, keyword being us. So no, that's not what atheists believe. So instead, Kent has to equivocate by jamming Big Bang cosmology in where it doesn't belong.
It's literally the Big Bang. It was a poof.
A poof into existence. I agree. There's no logic. Now, for God to bring something out of nothing is very different than for nothing to bring something out of nothing. They just don't get it. They don't want to get it. So tonight, whack an atheist. Use science and knowledge to whack those with the SpongeBob imagination. Just imagine, poof, nothing came to everything. Then we got Thor, who gave us a bigger hammer. So for you whacking atheist folks, some of you a little harder-headed. And if that doesn't work...
Kent, there is no way that you would be worthy of being able to pick up Mjolnir.
We're going to bring out the big guns. We'll explain it to them in a language they can understand. So my dad would say, son, everybody speaks ball bat. Some kid giving you a hard time at school, you don't understand. Everybody speaks ball bat, right? Okay.
Remember, kids, if somebody's bullying you at school, don't get an adult or a guidance counselor. Bring a baseball bat to school and hit him in the back of the head when he's not looking, because everybody understands baseball bat.
All right, so you SpongeBob atheists and evolutionists folks, go ahead, Matt.
Yep.
Can you put it down below?
In Christianity, faith is a virtue, right? It's a virtue. But here's the thing. Faith is actually a preaching that you do not have a reason for anybody to believe what you have to say.
So he says faith is not having a reason for things that you have to say. In other words, saying like, oh, well, the definition of faith is just believing things without evidence. Well, number one, the Bible says that faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. And the actual definition of faith is a confidence or trust in someone or something. So when he says faith is just, blind belief, well, the dictionary defines faith as confidence or trust, not blind belief. So I would encourage this guy who's a debater to look up just the definition, dust off the dictionary, and look up the definition of faith.
Matt Powell. Matt. You do understand words can have multiple meanings, right? They mean different things in different contexts? Okay, well, I dusted off my dictionary website, and let's look at what it says. In religion, faith is the strong belief in the doctrines of a religion based on a spiritual conviction rather than evidence. And the different definitions it has say strong or unshakable belief in something, especially without proof or evidence. In the realm of theology, a conviction of the truth of certain doctrines of religion, especially when this is not based on reason. And then the very last definition, which is not related to religion, says complete confidence or trust in a person, remedy, etc. God is not a person nor a remedy. This meaning of faith is based on past experiences. An example being, I have faith that my friend will not be late to pick me up for work because he's been on time every single other time he's given me a ride. You have evidence that's based on past events. Neither one of you has seen the risen Christ in the flesh, nor poked your finger into his weird stomach hole. You have faith that Christ is going to return to earth because of your religion, but you've never seen Jesus, so this faith is based on no evidence. Religion wouldn't need faith if it had evidence. That's kind of the entire point. So the context of the definition you're saying when you say the definition of faith is a complete confidence or trust in a person is not the same context as the religious definition of faith. And you're kind of dishonestly equivocating the two definitions. I see Kent Hovind is rubbing one off on you quite well.
Well, they have enormous faith that nothing exploded into everything. I just call it stupid. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah, it's really crazy. And he was in a debate with Jeff Durbin and James White. And I just found that to be very interesting that he would say, well, faith is just, believing things without any reason to believe them. That's not what the definition of faith is. So better luck next time to that guy.
Before the Big Bang, there was nothing, literally nothing. And then something happened, triggering the most colossal explosion in history. In a billionth of a billionth of a billionth of a second, the universe grew from the size of that tiny point to something billions of miles across. This colossal blast created everything, all the matter we see in the universe today.
Ugh, this is probably one of the worst descriptions of Big Bang cosmology I've ever heard. Where to begin? To start with, they really shouldn't talk about any time before the Big Bang because scientists don't know anything about that. Really, the idea of a quote-unquote before the Big Bang is about as meaningless as asking how to go south of the South Pole. The Big Bang started, and then the first picosecond occurred, known as the Planck epoch, that is also a total mystery in which the laws of physics likely didn't even exist yet. But amazingly, once the timeline gets to about 10 to the negative 43 seconds, scientists know a remarkable amount. And the Big Bang was not an explosion within space. It was the start of space-time itself expanding. I'm really getting tired of repeating this one. And it did not instantly create all of the matter that we see in the universe today. The universe was far too hot at that state for protons and neutrons to find each other and bond into atomic nuclei. Was this Nat Geo episode handwritten to play into Kent Hovind's shitty misrepresentation of the Big Bang? Absolutely fucking horrible.
What do you think?
So there was nothing. Before the Big Bang, there was nothing. And it exploded. Look, I think I was born at night, but it wasn't last night, okay? I'd like to have a little more explanation of that, sir.
No, you don't. You don't want somebody to actually explain the Big Bang Theory to you in a way that you would understand it because you don't want to risk accepting it, because you make more money when you can misrepresent it and lie about it. And even if somebody did explain it to you, which they've done thousands of times, you're just going to lie about it the next day on your stupid YouTube show. So stop lying, Kent.
How can nothing explode? And you said this tiny, tiny dot. Wait, where was it located? Was there space already? And it exploded and expanded into what? You have to have space. You have to have time. You have to have matter, time, space, matter. The Bible explains that in 10 words. In the beginning, there's time. God created the heaven, there's space, and the earth, matter. And they have to come into existence in that order. Time, space, matter.
No, wrong again. Space and time aren't two separate things. Einstein taught us that space-time is simply a set of the three spatial coordinates that make up 3D Euclidean space plus a fourth dimension of time. Sort of a fabric of space-time that can be warped by gravity.
If you had matter before you had space, where would you put it? If you had matter and space before there was time, when would you put it? God answered it all in 10 words. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. I find it much easier to believe in the beginning God than in the beginning nothing exploded. Absolutely nothing. A billionth of a billionth of a billionth of a second.
Well, yeah. I mean, of course, your simple religious interpretation of your Bronze Age fable book is going to be easier to understand than cosmology and general relativity that's extremely unintuitive and very hard for people to wrap their brains around. That doesn't mean that something is right just because it's easier for you and the rednecks in Alabama to understand, Kent.
That ain't much time at all.
No.
That's quick.
It's total magic is what it is. It's sorcery. These people will say, you Christians believe in magic. No, they actually believe in magic because believing that somebody created matter and energy is not magic. That's just something operating outside the laws of physics, which is consistent with the laws of physics.
No, believing that somebody can create energy is a direct violation of the first law of thermodynamics. I'm sorry, did he just say that something that operates outside of the laws of physics is consistent with the laws of physics? Is this like how Kent Hovind somehow didn't break any laws even though he broke a bunch of laws?
But to say that nothing spontaneously created everything, that's a magic act. That's pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Every atheist believes in magic if they believe that kind of nonsense.
Well, it's a good thing that they don't believe that, or at least I don't believe that. And I'm sorry, but God creating life and the universe out of nothing is magic. And him pulling a rabbit and every other fully formed animal out of his ass and forming them on the earth is magic. So don't be throwing around accusations of people believing in magic.
But they don't really have a rabbit or a hat or the ability to pull.
And you don't really have a PhD. Okay, I think that's all I can stand of Matt Powell and Kent together. So I'm going to end the video here. But this is just part 1, so I'm going to be making a part 2